Good morning. It's Thursday, December 7th. Boy, do we got a show for you. Welcome to ATI ProMedia. Today we're talking cattle, tomorrow's crop reports, and the latest headlines. Let's not waste any time here. I've got a friend. He's going to come in right now. Tommy G, welcome to the show. Today's a
Good,
good day.
good morning. I like you guys opening up better. I could just sit here and look pretty. Great job. Let's get in the show. We have a lot of things to talk about. Terribly disappointed on how much that cattle market was up yesterday and how it went down. Real quick before we talk about that, let's get in the headlines. Initial claims came out today, and this is a very tight number, 220 versus 222. No big deal. What the big deal is tomorrow, Mr. Huck. We're going to have the real unemployment number. We also had continuing claims, 1.861 million, down from 192. And I was asking producer Joe, did more people get jobs or did less people just drop out of the job pool? We'll see. December's always an interesting unemployment number, Brady, when we get that at 7:30 tomorrow, and we'll be talking about that in the show because there's so much seasonal hiring, and oftentimes people say that the data is skewed for December. But with that, let's get right into the meat of the show. I hear you built an action-packed power deck. Let's get into it.
You betcha. First off, we had a flash sale this morning. China in for, or unknown, possibly China, came
Very
in
much
for
a
4.4
very high
million bushels.
percentage of China, right?
Highly likely, yes. And that's continues this hot sales pace we've seen for soybeans over the last month, really. So good to see kind of a late start to the soybean export game, but great to see these sales picking up. You can see in this beautiful chart, the 4-week average is cruising.
Let's go to the second part of that headline. Golf and go back one, please.
Oh, yes.
Golf and PNW both cheaper than Brazil. That's really great news for the folks up in the Dakotas. Of course, the grain growing areas change so much. Canada, North Dakota, South Dakota, we're growing bushels. Funny you mention it, but we're growing bushels in places we didn't know. Kind of like when you get older, Brady, you start having, like nose hairs or something. This
They
thing's
just pop
getting
up.
wild. They just pop up. Yeah, it's like an old guy thing. And that's what's happened with technology with soybeans, more soybeans than corn. The growing area is getting so much bigger. Great news now. Big thanks to our research department and all the crew who put this together. Brian, Larry, Cesar, and I think like half of them are doctors. And you just have a couple guys like us talking about it. But that's a great looking chart. Good news, bad news. This is normal. And then seasonally, we start to lose that P&W bid because harvest has started already in South America. Something to watch.
Absolutely. Yep. Next slide here. Drought monitor. Oh, drought monitor. We got too many people clicking the buttons. Sorry, I'll stop clicking the buttons here.
Let producer Joe click. This is very serious stuff, the clicking.
Yes, sir. Drought monitor. Improvement in some areas. We got you want to talk this a little bit, Tommy? Got
Well,
eastern Nebraska spot
yeah,
there.
I wish you could point with your fingers. Where are you on that Kansas map?
We're on the blue line, kind of in the southwest corner of Kansas, Arkansas River. There's no blue in the Arkansas River where I'm at, but there's still a line on the map.
Yeah. So how about that red and dark red in Nebraska? Those folks are that's not good. But then I would say that 3/4 of Nebraska is not in full blown drought. Same thing with the eastern part of Iowa. We have that office in Bettendorf. Big shout out to our Iowa clients. We love you. And some of you, a miracle happened in eastern Iowa. I had the privilege of doing a meeting for Wiffle Seed last week, and the truth was, once we got done speaking, that even though they were a drought deficit, they were shorted on rains. Mother Nature was cruel to that group, but with that, they still grew a surprising amount of bushels with what they have. So I flipped it around and I said, Brady, what if you would have had timely rains? What if you would have had this? What if you would have had that? A lot of would haves. They would have
Yeah.
had a record crop. In America, would have had a monster crop if Eastern Iowa would have had beneficial rains, but we just didn't have them. So we'll keep this looking tough down there in the South. I have some a friend of mine bought a grain elevator down there in Mississippi, and Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Fogel's in Tennessee, one of the commodity brokers, and he's been having fires locally. And now that I
Yeah.
look at that map, that thing's lit up pretty well. This is normal. Look at California. Remember 5 years ago, California was like the darkest color of purple. There's not a bit of drought in
None on
California.
there. All
No, so
white.
droughts like the lotto. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I can tell you what, Mother Nature's large and in charge, and that is one of the things we talk about in the show. There's things you can control, and there's things you can't control. That's one of them. Next slide.
That CONAB data this morning CONAB report, the Brazil WASI essentially. Soybean production, they did lower soybean production 2 million metric tons from last month for 160.2. Corn production came down 500,000 metric ton at 118.5 on the CONAB version of the WASI. You can pause this, take a screenshot if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, we gladly shoot these graphics to you. If you shoot us an email at info@atipromedia.com. But any color things that stood out to you on the CONAB?
No, those numbers are going to change a lot more before it's over. That's where we think we are today. There's people who know a lot more about what's going on. We can just report the news, and that is the news as of today, and those numbers will change.
Right. Yep. One thing I'd point out, that corn production, as I look here at the numbers, the 124 was the average estimate, and they printed a 118.5. Possibly some support here this morning on that front. Tomorrow we got the big WASI. Tomorrow we got the big WASI report. Highlight the South America portion of that report. Kind of note the divergence between where the USDA is at on Brazil corn and and the CONAB number. 127, the anticipated number for tomorrow's WASI report, but CONAB came out with a 118. And that divergence we've seen the last couple of years grow between those two reports. Interesting to note. I'd have to ask Dr. Larry and Caesar why those are the way they are.
Yeah, one quick note, Brady, that it's Friday, it's December, we're getting to the year end. Wheat's had a heck of a run. It pulled back a little bit today, but let's keep an eye on these numbers. Be very respectful that professional traders have already had a good year. Professional hedge funds have had a good year. We do see people running for the door in the wheat market, slight run for the door in the corn. The funds are still long some of the bean products, and it could be, I don't want to sit here with that cavalier attitude and say nothing's going to happen tomorrow. It's the United States government. They're going to put a number down. We'll see what happens. It's been the trend that the crop is there and the numbers are there across the world, but we'll deep dive into them. I know there's going to be a meeting after work, and we'll see like the details out of Ukraine and all that other stuff. We'll really deep dive in that after close tomorrow.
Yep. Switching over to cattle, carcass weights, record high print last week. We got another weekly carcass weight report out here this afternoon. Anticipate that to come in at record high as well. Great thing is seasonally these are starting to peak. Once we get past the first of the year, I'm going to see these carcass weights hopefully come down. Everybody knows it's been great weather for cattle country for the most part. Haven't had much of a winter to speak of, and that's that in combination with lack of leverage and a slowdown in slaughter kind of has these carcass weights pushing bigger and bigger, making more beef with less animals.
Is that a trend you see moving in the future?
I think the packer has adjusted the grid, and they're encouraging bigger carcass weights, bigger animals, and you see that reflected in the grid prices, in the grid structure that they have. So they want efficiency, and if you can run one animal in and get more meat off of it, that just makes a lot of sense to me if I was running a business. We'll get another commitment of traders report tomorrow, but this is just a pretty graphic that illustrates the managed money flow in feeder cattle. You can see that green line on top. That is the number of long positions. I like looking at the net position as a whole, but which position is moved? Are longs coming out or shorts coming into the market? And you can see it's been longs coming out since mid-September, but not after a great run up here. We've seen starting in February that net position peaked at 19,000, and they are now about 600 contracts short on feeder cattle. Still room for them to maybe build a bigger short position, but I don't know. My bias is shifting that the funds are out and they may be on the sidelines here. I don't know if they. Go ahead, Tommy.
Dynamic market, extreme pain being delivered in the cattle and the feeder cattle, not a joking situation. Lots of rumors going around with LRP. I know you're doing a breakout session about it, so we won't talk about it now, but you'll have your Brady Huck cattle special here in a little bit. I do see a comment. We have a few more slides. Let's get through those, and then we'll answer this question, but the question will have to be answered after call. Great question. And let's go over the question, and it's from our friend Corey. Can you explain the Packers adjusting the grid? And is that something you can answer in your Jim Cramer 30-second roundtable?
I'll give it my best shot. I don't work for a packer, so I'm not a pro, as I'd say. But the grid was developed, I think, as a tool to send demand signals to the consumers and producers. We want more marbling. We want bigger ribeyes. We want smaller ribeyes. We want bigger carcasses. We want smaller carcasses. It's just a way they can send demand signals. We'll pay a premium for this type of product, and they've adjusted some of that here over the last three months to discount smaller carcasses and entice producers to bring bigger carcasses to the market, which is interesting. Add quick tidbit: the cow-calf guy wants a smaller cow, but the packer wants more beef, bigger beef coming in. Kind of an interesting dynamic there.
Good job, Brady. As always, people can get a hold of us at ATI Pro Media. You can watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Apple, listen to us on Spotify. If you want to see some charts or graphs, you can email us at info@atipromedia.com. You can call us at 1-855-737-FARM. Of course, pretty soon when people start to call in, we have special gifts. I'll show that special gift. We'll end the show with my beautiful bride, which I believe my anniversary is tomorrow, so I'd better just start talking about it already. That's
Happy
the gift.
anniversary, Tommy.
Yeah,
Awesome.
look at the smile on my face. We will be giving out ATI Pro Media gifts here pretty soon. So keep calling in, keep sending comments, and everyone have a great day. See you in the morning.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.